Can't say I'm surprised. We knew this was coming, especially the way that things have been going for IDW for the last, I would say, 2 to 5 years. Things have been going really downhill for them. So for them to lose two big licenses like this is really not surprising, especially when you consider some of the things that they've done with these licenses. So, uh, article from Bounding into Comics, as always, link is in the description below for those of you that want to check it out for yourselves. But let's go over it here, right? After heavily investing in woke identity politics, IDW loses Transformers and G.I. Joe licenses. After 17 years and a spiral into injecting the popular franchises with woke identity politics, comic book publisher IDW has announced that they will officially lose the publishing licenses to Hasbro's iconic Transformers and G.I. Joe franchises at the end of 2022. For the surprise, really, of nobody that has been kind of keeping up with what's been going on with comic books these days. So, IDW revealed their upcoming license losses in an exclusive statement given to the Hollywood Reporter, wherein they informed the trade news outlet at the end of 2022, IDW will bid a fond farewell to the publication of G.I. Joe and Transformers comic books and graphic novels. We're exceedingly proud of our stewardship of these titles, 17 years with the robots in disguise and 14 years with the real American hero, and thank the legion of fans for their unwavering support month in and month out. The publisher added, we're also eternally grateful to everyone of the talented creators who helped bring these characters to four-color life through our comics. IDW will round out their time as Hasbro's primary comic book publisher with a series of celebratory send-off events, including 2 Transformers crossovers and the 300th issue of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, and several special projects for G.I. Joe's 40th anniversary. So, as we saw, right, if you guys remember the early days of IDW having Transformers, that initial run was great, right? That generational run was great. If you remember back then, the War Within, things like that, those were all pretty solid runs, I thought. I won't say they were like the absolute best, but they were good. It was a good way to start off, and really, everything from the artwork to the stories they were solid. They were solid from what I remember. Though they are losing what are arguably Hasbro's 2 most important lines, IDW will still retain the rights to publish comics based on the toy manufacturer's popular My Little Pony and Dungeons and Dragons franchises. Curiously, no word has been given as to the future of the publisher's other Hasbro licenses, including Mask, Action Man, and Rom the Space Knight. I'm sure that those probably, it won't be long. It won't be long before those kind of follow suit, I would think. But it says IDW's loss of Transformers and G.I. Joe follows an editorial turn in recent years towards injecting contemporary identity politics into these franchises, replete with a variety of race swaps and sexuality changes. Examples include disgraced G.I. Joe Volume 5 writer Aubrey Sitterson's changing of classic character Salvo into a stocky Samoan woman, complete with a very own braided lobotomy cut out of fear that the character's original depiction as a white man with a t-shirt that read "The Right of Might" was a little too all right. Okay. I mean, I guess you would have to be a person that wants to make something like that. You would want to conflate it or associate it with a group that you are opposed to, right? That would be, not that obviously not for the all right or anything like that, but I'm just saying you'd probably just associated with anybody that disagrees with you, as well as you can turn anything bad, right, if you really want to. So, I mean, I see no problem with that particular phrasing. But in this day and age, again, people are going to turn whatever they want into something that will be that will fit their agenda or their narrative, right, the way they want to push it. So I can understand that. And look, to Aubrey Sitterson's credit, it seems like he seemed to have gotten, after this, because he got a lot of backlash for this, he seemed to really step away from this kind of stuff, and just kind of started doing his own thing and really started focusing on just making his own stuff, crowdfunding his own books. And from my understanding, he's been pretty successful at that. At first, he didn't, from what I remember, he didn't take the criticism too well, but I think he's a guy that's kind of learned from those mistakes. And it's like, you know what? Or again, that's what it seems like. I'm not saying he's changed his beliefs necessarily, but I think he realized that, you know what, maybe this isn't the way. This isn't the way, and he seems to have just really kind of, from my understanding, has really stepped away from this kind of stuff or injecting his books with stuff like this. He's just kind of tried to stick more to story, telling a good story with action. I read one of his recent comic books that I read was No One Left to Fight, and I thought that was just fun. It was just stupid fun. It was kind of Dragon Ball Z meets a post-apocalyptic Dragon Ball Z meets what else can I equate it with? Something that's very colorful. I mean, it felt like a mixture of a lot of 80s and 90s like martial arts animes, I guess. So it felt like a callback to that. It was just a fun read. So it was a mini series that was put out by, I believe, I forget the name of the comic company, but it escapes me right now. But it was just fun. It was just him just telling a fun story, and I thought it came out pretty good. The artwork was decent, a little bright, but it was decent. They also retconned Autobots, Ratchet and Drift into same-sex lovers. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because that's exactly what people think about, right? Conjix and Dura being the Cybertronian equivalent of husband slash wife. Yeah, because that's exactly what people think about, right? When it comes to robots, I guess, whatever. I mean, they also transformed the classic female Transformer RC, who quickly became a fan favorite following her debut in 1986, the Transformers movie, into the Cybertronian equivalent of male to female transgender individual. Oh my god, it's like a bad Tumblr fanfic. I was forged male, which did not match my spark. Oh my god. Someone named Jaxus claimed he could help, but he altered my CNA and set me loose. It took a while for me to realize this had created an adverse effect. Bad meds, the Cybertronian equivalent. Yeah, I met somebody named Enode who said she could help me, but then she vanished, which didn't help my state. Oh my god! Like, look, you could again, you could tell whatever stories you want to tell with the properties that are yours, and I guess obviously somebody signed off on this shit, right? And that's why it came to be. But this is not really the stuff that people worry about when it comes to Transformers. They're just looking to see a cool story about, a sci-fi story about sentient robots, right? And really, I think the furthest thing from this that people think about, really, I mean, I guess some people do. I can't say everybody, but most people that grow up with Transformers don't think about things like their sexuality or things like that. They just want to see them or who they're having relationships with. They just more worried about them kicking ass and a good story being told about them, and that's it. As for the comic book future of Transformers and G.I. Joe, THR previously reported that Skybound, the imprint founded by the Walking Dead creator, Robert Kirkman, had entered talks with Hasbro to acquire the franchise's licenses. Wow, that would be huge for Robert Kirkman's label if that happens. However, as of writing, there has been no confirmation that such a deal has been successfully negotiated. IDW's loss of Transformers G.I. Joe makes a second such massive license loss for the publisher in recent months. In September 2021, Disney and Lucasfilm withdrew the publisher's licenses for their Marvel and Star Wars All Ages line. I mean, that makes sense because Disney has that stuff now. They could pretty much do that themselves. Yeah, see, though no reason was ever publicly given for the withdrawal, it is assumed it is assumed to have been done in order to allow Disney to publish their own comic lines in-house under Marvel. Yeah, why wouldn't they? I mean, why pay somebody else when they have an arm of that they could put that stuff out through themselves? So I mean, look, whatever you feel. I mean, I never looked at Transformers as any kind of allegory or metaphor for actual trans people. I thought of transforming robots. I mean, maybe some other people did. That's on them. That's up to you. If that's how you wanted to interpret it as, go for it. But it's no wonder to me that they're failing, because you're doing stuff that people really look. People don't care about this stuff, especially with Transformers, right? Like I said, they're just looking for a good sci-fi story with good action that's compelling. Giant robots fighting giant robots. G.I. Joe, a real American hero. Obviously, what made it great back in the day was the fact that you had such an eclectic group of soldiers, right? That were all, they were all ethnicities and races born in the United States, you know, or had become American citizens, and that's it. Kind of was really a story of, you know, showing just the great melting pot that is America in that sense, you know, and just having them all be soldiers serving this great country, right? So it seems like in recent years, though, they've really tried to distance the whole a real American hero thing and tried to make them more of an international force. That's what they tried to do with the movies, which I thought was a big misstep because they wanted to appeal to international markets. So they called it an international uh, military for special force and stuff. And I don't think you need to do that. You know what brought GI Joe really into that mainstream popularity, that took it to that next level, I should say, because GI Joe was around well before the '80s, was a real American hero. It gave GI Joe much more of a personality because there's a Joe that somebody's going to be able to identify with in one way or another, right? You don't have to really change any of them because there's so many already. You don't have to do stuff like this just to show that you're gonna pander that much more. And in a lot of ways, it kind of already did pander to many people, but it did it in a way that didn't feel obviously forced. You know, it felt very organic. So, you know, I'm again not surprised that this is happening. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. We'll see what happens with GI Joe and Transformers now under a new label to see what they're able to do. Hopefully, they'll stay away from this kind of stuff and just stick to storytelling, just good storytelling. And again, I've said this before. I'm not saying that politics can't be a part of the story. They just shouldn't be the primary aspect of the story. If they're just a part to get the story along, to move it along, that's one thing. If they're just one aspect of the story, but it shouldn't be the entire story. Just tell something that is interesting and compelling, and you'll see that people will come. They'll support it with their dollars. They'll vote with their dollars, like I always say. So we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Until next time, y'all know how it goes. The hunt continues.